And then last and final thing, so like ESPN, um, Aaron Andrews, Bullhorn. So if Margaret DeBartolo was Marty's grandma, or maybe even mom, I believe Mr. Cole ran for governor at one time of Oregon. That'd be Kyle and Aunt Kathy's ex-husband's dad. If Carol's son, or great through one marriage, was a senator, my understanding, and then the family, that'd be 2 senators, 5 governors, 2 House of Representatives, and 3 bill, within the first through 4 cousins, depending on mom or dad's side. Now, what is the value of the hydrocore if Antonio Guerrero's values it at 6, and at 3.5 caused a serial killing, and say a young Kevin? Now, what happens if that's the view to the humor with the boys to how they see coming out? Now, what happens if the Fishers hang out with you on a daily basis when you're around Napa, but you don't even realize that? That's like saying, hi, I'm Jack Dorsey. What happens if the founder of Venmo, the founding group that started Instagram? Now, imagine that thought process. Like Darlene Nicole DeBartolo, or Aunt Darlene, that would be the view. And then say when that's just sitting around town, like he, Jeffrey Ames Kennedy, the neighbors are just Mackenzie Bezos' parents. What happens if that begins to be the little bit of the odd thing? Wouldn't that be like, hey Kevin, if you don't sign the birth certificate, $8.6 billion to child support, and where Levin Nunes wondered in view of the Tyco Whammo to Mattel model, same way Candlestick Park would see, that would be the leverage wonderment in the ratio view for pre-Marvel and Hasbro compared to national security models, and say the Disney Chinese wonderment in view of bond authorities between more than one district. That'd be like having to prove national security at the time. But that would be, I am the grandson and the nephew, Chief Justice and 2-star general. Why, Carol's dad would be General McKenzie, and her brother would be Mark. Now, if that's like those type of wonderment with James B. Thayer would only be a interim president, and Ron would only have been a Congressional Medal recipient. Now, ask that within the view of the family when Dean Spindler won a Nobel, Carrie Erling or Aunt Tink's daughter won one, and ask that to the view of the family, and say where the boys wonder that they're coming out compared to the death. And where weirdness begins, how the Count of Luxembourg see, if you change your name to Patrick Xavier Anderson, that would be the view to your son compared to how he sees World War III. And if the last request from the big guy was to learn Chinese to the solicitor, Neil, or as you know him, Neil Newcomb, Duke Nukem, Gabe's grandpa, that wouldn't be outside of Miss Haley, the last U.S. Solicitor General, and what was the request of her in view of Saddam's trial. But that'd be like, hey, I'm bringing over the New York Marathon bomber the summer before. Libya bombing, the Chinese bombing, and in the view of General Gavin's daughter, Patricia Catherine Gavin Owens, or Queen Patricia based on birthright to Austria, she wouldn't give up democracy in her lifetime. Now, what is that if you violate the Sky Treaty? It means I can't, and you're the second cousin of 45, and you can't ask any of the prime ministers any of those questions. Now, see that to the UN and say San Francisco compared to Oakland. Nobody understands that. That's like where you come from, you only root for one team. That would mean like the partners and say that thought process 10 points down and how much of the game right to their faces. You still have the mother's phone number. And we haven't discussed it. And how it begins more efficiency.